Hi, I am Rajkala. Today we are going to learn on prevention of fire in hotels. Some of the questions that erupt in our mind when we see a fire in a building are: how did the fire get started in this area? What help can we do to prevent the fire? And so on. So, let us learn on the different types of fires, different types of fire extinguishers, action to be taken on discovering a fire or hearing a fire alarm, and the evacuation procedures. Hotel fires represent a major risk to people's safety, the hotel property and business continuity. The risk for human lives and property are high in hotel buildings due to the heavy concentration of people, valuables, and to the often combustible interior furnishings and fittings. These risks, however, can be drastically reduced if we take appropriate fire protection measures. The hotel management carries a very high responsibility for the safety of all. It is the hotel owner's primary concern that guests enjoy their safety, but besides offering first-rate services, this also includes ensuring maximum safety. Fire incidents not only result in financial losses, they can also severely damage a hotel's reputation. The goal is to protect people and property as effectively as possible and to minimize any operational interruptions and loss of customer base. Fire safety is therefore a long-term investment that must be carefully planned to ensure the continued success of the hotel. After completion of the module, you will be able to differentiate what is fire prevention and firefighting, identify the different types of fires and fire extinguishers, identify the common fire hazards and the means to prevent them, and describe the emergency procedures in case of fire. Next, we will see on what are fire risks. Fire risks result basically from the probability of occurrence and the effect caused by fire. In hotels, fire dangers are found almost everywhere. The main causes of fire outbreaks in general areas include malfunctions in the electrical equipment leading to short circuits and overloads, maintenance work such as welding, carelessness such as negligence in turning off the electrical equipment, use of combustible materials and smoking, temporary decorations for festivities and functions, and spontaneous combustion of cleaning rags, cotton waste, etc. The main cause of fire outbreaks in guest room includes smoking, especially in the bed under the influence of alcohol or drugs, use of faulty electrical equipment such as electrical kettles, heaters, hair dryers and radios, carelessness with electrical equipment, especially negligence in turning off the equipment at night or when leaving the room. So, these are the basic causes of fire in hotels. So, what is fire? How does it start? Fire is any chemical reaction involving rapid oxidation or burning of fuel. It needs three elements to occur. If any one of the three is removed, then fire does not occur at all or it is extinguished. It is also called as the fire triangle. The fire triangle consists of fuel, oxygen and heat. Let us see the role of each one by one. Fuel. Fuel can be any combustible material. It can be solid, liquid or gas. Most solids and liquids become vapor or gas before they burn. The common fuels include solvents such as kerosene, petrol, diesel, acetone, alcohols, etc. Gases such as acetylene and propane, solids such as wood and paper. So, the higher the temperature, the easier and quicker the burn. Second is oxygen. The air we breathe contains about 21% of oxygen, but for a fire to occur, 16% of atmospheric oxygen alone is sufficient. The common oxidizers include acids, especially nitric and perchloric acids, chlorine dioxide and others such as potassium permanganate and potassium chlorate. The third point is heat. Heat is the energy necessary to increase the temperature of the fuel to a point where sufficient vapors are given off for ignition to occur. An ignition source can be a spark, static electricity, arcs from the electrical equipments, a lit cigarette, or a hot light bulb. There are 4 stages in combustion. They are incipient, smouldering, flaming, and heat stage. Incipient stage. At this stage, decomposition is occurring at the surface of the fuel due to the influence of some form of heat. Products of combustion given off at this stage are invisible to the eye. Smouldering stage. At this stage, up to 10% of the decomposing products released at the surface of the fuel are visible. Flaming stage. Vapors from the decomposing fuel have ignited and are at the stage where flames are self-propagating. The last is the heat stage. At this stage, the burning has progressed to a point where the fire is still small but generating sufficient heat to warm the air immediately around the fire, and it starts sending warm products of combustion upwards by convection. Except explosion, most fires have quite humble beginnings and grow through all 4 stages mentioned. The time required for a fire to develop through the first 2 stages is usually quite long when compared to the last 2. Depending upon the conditions, the time involved going through all the 4 stages may be anything from seconds to days. Extinguishing fire. The 3 principles to extinguish a fire are starving, smothering, and cooling. First is starving, that is to remove the fuel. Second is smothering, to remove the air or oxygen. The last is cooling, that is to remove the heat. Therefore, to extinguish a fire, one side of the triangle should be removed. As we have already seen, the fuels help for burning, heat is used for setting the fuel alight, and the oxygen is needed for fire to burn. If we try to eliminate one of these factors, the fire will be easily put out. We all know that the air contains oxygen, and if this air is removed or excluded from the area, the fire gets extinguished. For example, if the hand towel in the cooking area or someone's dress in the kitchen catches fire, then immediately put them down on the floor and wrap them with a fire blanket. On doing so, the air which is responsible for the fire is cut off from the flames. In the event of a fire, all windows and doors need to be closed so that the amount of air getting into the room is restricted. The same principle is used even by foam extinguishers, where the foam forms a blanket and excludes the air from reaching the fuel. If in case a pan with fire or oil gets ignited, then immediately switch off the source of heat if it is safe to do so. Quickly close or cover the pan with a lid or a fire blanket or any other suitable items to prevent the air from entering the pan. Covering with the lid will remove one side of the fire triangle, and turning off the source of heat will remove the other side of the fire triangle. Water should not be used if in case it is fat or oil, as it makes the ignited fat to spread, thus increasing the heat. Similarly, on live electrical wires or equipments, water extinguishers should not be used, as the person holding the extinguisher could be electrocuted because water is a good conductor of electricity. In other cases, water extinguishers, by dousing the flames, provided the fuel is a material such as wood or paper, thus taking the heat out of the triangle. In case of fire in a small room or store, it is advisable to remove the items from the room if it is safe to do so, and close the doors and windows to stop the fire from spreading. If the fire is well developed, evacuation should not be delayed. Till now, we have seen on what are fires, how fires get started, stages of combustion, and the principles to extinguish the fire. Now, let us understand what is fire prevention and what is firefighting. Fire prevention covers those steps taken to ensure that fire does not occur. Good housekeeping is very essential for prevention of fire in any establishment. These personnel are the ones who permeate to all parts of the hotel during the day and night, and therefore are responsible in locating, reporting and preventing the fire. The chief engineer, on the other hand, is the chief fire officer to fight the fire in the hotel. He lends support in fire prevention by organizing and supervising fire drills for all the staff. His maintenance team serves as fire patrol and is responsible for the firefighting equipment. An updated fire emergency plan is very important for the hotel. This plan should be in writing and filed and should be easily available to all the employees. To prepare any fire emergency plan, we need to perform the fire risk assessment. So, what is this fire risk assessment? It consists of 5 steps: to identify, to decide, evaluate, record and review. Identify the potential fire hazards in the workplace, decide who can be in danger in the event of a fire, evaluate the risk which could arise from the hazard, keep a record of the results of the risk assessment and details of action that was taken or needs to be taken as a result, review and revise the assessment. This should take place when there is a change in work practice or at least every 6 months. Now, what is firefighting? As we already know, housekeeping personnel should be the first to locate a fire and will have to take initial steps in the firefighting, for which they have to know the cause of fire and the methods of extinguishing them, as some fires call for a wetting and cooling method below the ignition point, while others requiring a blanketing effect which either excludes or dilutes oxygen to a point where it will not support combustion. Classification of fire. To understand fire prevention and firefighting, one must know how fires are classified. Fires may be classified into 4 groups based on their source of fuel. Class A, these are fires caused in paper, trash, wood or any other combustible materials as their source of fuel. Class B, these are fires with combustible or flammable liquids as their source of fuel. Class C, these are fires involving electrical equipments, and Class D, these are fires with certain ignitable metals as their fuel source. Hence, fires may be easily prevented if fire hazards are identified and eliminated. Firefighting equipment. Staff should be well trained in opening and using the firefighting equipment such as the fire blankets and hose reels to more complex fire extinguishers. Water buckets should be constantly checked for adequate water levels and sand buckets should be kept dry. Most fire extinguishers available are rated according to the type of fire they extinguish. Now, let us see on the different ratings of fire extinguishers. Water fire extinguishers. It extinguishes by the method of cooling. It has got a red body. It is suitable for Class A fires, wood, paper, etc. It is not suitable for combustible liquids and cooking fats. It is also not safe to use on fires involving electricity. The next is foam fire extinguishers. The old model has got a cream body. Nowadays, it is available in red body with a cream label. These are suitable for Class A and B fires. It is not suitable for use on fires involving electricity, and this extinguishes by cooling and sealing the surface of a burning liquid. The third is powder fire extinguishers. The old type has got a blue body and the newer version has got a red body with blue label. This is best on Class B fires, but safe to use on any type of fires. It works by chemically interfering with the combustion reaction. The fourth type is carbon dioxide fire extinguisher. Again, the older version has got a black body and the new type has got a red body with a black label. This is best on Class B and C fires, but safe to use on any type of fires. It is also safe to use on fires involving electricity. and this extinguishes by reducing the oxygen levels and cooling it. The last is the blankets. These are usually red or white in color. It can be used on any type of fire, but best on small contained class B fires and people on fire, and this extinguishes by asphyxiating. In addition, many of the today's extinguishers are labeled to indicate that they can be used on different types of fires and will be labeled like, for example, AB, BC and so on. How to use a portable fire equipment? For the use of portable fire equipment, remember the acronym PASS, P-A-S-S. P for pull the pin, A for aim the extinguisher nozzle at the base of the flame, S is to squeeze the trigger by holding the extinguisher erect, and S is to sweep the extinguisher from side to side. But always remember to pull a fire alarm box and alert others before you attempt to use a fire extinguisher. Next is firefighting equipment, location and identification. The new legal requirement states that all firefighting equipment, whether it is hoses, extinguishers or blankets, must be identified with a red signboard placed either around the equipment or on the place where it is stored. The fact that the signboard has to be in red could inevitably lead to confusion. To counter this, signs are available which incorporate the color of the extinguisher and give guidance on what type of fires it can be used on. Procedure to be followed in the event of a fire. Again, remember the acronym FIRE, F, I, R and E. F for find, I for inform, R for restrict and E to extinguish. Find is cause obvious. We need to find where the fire has occurred. Inform, warn those in the vicinity, call and inform the fire brigade. Restrict, turn off the gas and electricity, and use extinguishers if safe to do so. Now let us see the detailed procedure. First, raise alarm by shouting fire or by breaking the glass in the nearest fire alarm call point. It is imperative that every alarm is treated as though it is a real emergency, even if the initial source is unknown. If the alarm sounds or a fire is suspected, call the fire department immediately. Never wait to investigate the situation before notifying the fire department. Any delay will allow a fire to grow and further endanger the building, occupants and property. And do not silence the alarm until given permission to do so by the fire department personnel or by the emergency operator. Do not reset the alarm until the fire department arrives and has investigated the source of alarm. All fire alarms are to be investigated by the fire department. It is important for employees calling the rescue fire brigade to be able to give informations on the place of fire, address and sometimes the reason for the fire and any other specific information. The caller should not hang up until getting the orders from the manager, supervisor or the emergency operator. Without putting yourself in danger, try to fight the fire with the appropriate fire extinguisher or a fire blanket after you inform the fire brigade. Turn off the gas supplies, other sources of heat and the fans if it is safe to do so. Do not extinguish gas burners with a fire extinguisher before turning off the gas supply. If the fire continues to grow despite your efforts, leave the building, closing the doors and windows behind you if possible. Do not use elevators, escalators or lifts to leave the building. Lifts should not be used during fire emergency by the occupants of the building. The occupants might get trapped in the elevator as sometimes it may fail to work during fire as the shafts may be filled with smoke. Or sometimes it needs to be available for the arriving firefighters and hence occupants must exit only through the stairs. Do not stop anywhere to collect your belongings before you leave the building. If trapped, create an area of refuge. If there is no way of leaving the room, an area of refuge has to be created for the guests and the staffs. Rooms should be immediately sealed by using wet cloths to stuff around and seal the vents and cracks in doors to protect against the smoke. Do not try to break the windows, as flames and smoke can come into the room from outside. The freshest air in the room will be near the floor, and hence if you need air, remain or stay low under the smoke with a wet cloth over your nose and mouth and breathe through your nose only. Next, let us see on the critical life safety features. The fire warning systems may be electrically powered and manually operated systems, or automatic fire detection systems, or a combination of both. The usual components of such systems are fire alarms. These can be set off by smoke detectors, heat detectors, sprinkler systems, or pull stations. The most common type of fire alarms are the ones operated by pull stations located in corridors, lobbies, and near elevators. The pull alarms themselves are in red in color with a glass panel that needs to be broken to set off the alarm. The next is sprinklers. These are found in most hotel establishments, especially in corridors and rooms. They are situated on the ceiling and automatically spray the water when the temperature rises above a certain level. Smoke detectors. These are set off by smoke. The two types of smoke detectors available are photoelectric and ionizing detectors. Photoelectric detectors are alarms triggered off when smoke block a beam of light emanating from the detector. In the ionizing type of smoke detectors, the alarm sounds when the detector senses a shift in electrical conductivity between the two plates. Last is the self-closing doors, such as fire doors and stairway doors. These doors confine the flames, heat, and smoke and leaves the evacuation routes clear. It is imperative that these doors are not blocked or propped open. Now coming to the maintenance of fire extinguishers. The person in charge of maintenance should know the fire safety features of the building and surrounding premises, and also on the placement of fire safety equipment such as the fire alarm systems. Portable fire extinguishers and fire blankets come under non-fixed equipment, and electrical installations, heating, and hot water systems would come under principal building services. Maintenance of all these systems and equipment is an essential element of fire safety program. All fire protection equipment provided should be in good working order, and staff employed should be familiar with its use. Visual inspection to see that equipment is in place and is ready to use should be done routinely. Next, coming to the fire safety register. It is a very important register to be maintained by the management. The fire safety register should include information such as details of the building or premises, the total number of in-house guests, staffs, and the escape route or the exit route, emergency alarms and procedures for evacuation, number of fire drills carried out, number of firefighting equipments in each floor, number of fire alarm systems, a schedule of all fire resisting doors in the premises, details of the emergency lighting and maintenance records, and details of building services and maintenance records. Thus, proper housekeeping plays a major role in fire safety. To brief it up, all housekeeping staff should be trained so as to know the procedure to be followed in case of fire. If anyone notices fire, they should immediately notify the telephone exchange so that they can call the fire brigade, housekeeping control desk, and the security. Avoiding panic is very important and it does not help in any way. A pocket size laminated instructions regarding the fire emergencies should be distributed, and this should be carried by the employees at all times. and be sure that the fire control literature is in every room in prominent places for the reference of the guest. Last but very important is that all fire extinguishers should be checked at least once a year and should be repaired or recharged to make it operational to ensure safety. A card should be attached or stuck on the extinguisher giving details of the date of maintenance and the name of the person and phone number who performed the service. With this ends the module on fire prevention. I hope you would have understood how fires get started and how it has to be extinguished. Thank you very much for your patient listening. Thank you.